But you do not know that Spain is a thing?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I've seen a post like that, yeah. Where it's just like
What do you mean with the...
Spanish is only for, like, Latin America is what they
Yeah.
think, basically.
So what do you mean the people
It's just
where Spanish came from? What do you mean this magical place called Spainland? Spanish
yeah,
land.
Spanish land or something like that. It's just
And
like,
you see, that
"Boy,
one
do
kind
I
of
have
gets me
something
because,
to tell
like,
you about this wonderful country called Spain."
the
Also,
now
welcome to
the
the stream.
U.S. isn't great in K through 12 with like world countries and whatnot, but like I do distinctly remember learning about Spain. So it's like, how do you not know what Spain is?
Boom. Aha, there we go. We're on stream. Yeah, I mean, my geographical knowledge is not fantastic, but I'm aware of Spain.
Yeah,
I know that's
I'm
a thing.
also aware of Spain.
I've probably heard of most countries.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be able to name
like,
them all off the top of my head. I don't know the Animaniacs song.
no.
Well, that
But, like
one's
It's
a
pretty
couple
outdated now.
decades out of
Yeah.
date, and there's some places, particularly in Eastern Europe and various areas in Africa, where things have changed around a bit.
Yeah,
oh, for sure,
Czechia
for
is
sure.
probably not in there. And
But yeah,
Yeah, but, like, I also just do not have the confidence or stupidity, either or, to just, like, say to a person who's just telling me, like, "Hey, I'm from this country, do you know it exists?" To be like, "No, your country does not exist." Like like, if someone said a country name that I wasn't
yep,
aware of, I'd simply be like, I guess I do not know this country. And
I
if
mean,
it turns out they were messing with me, that's a different story, but,
I,
like,
my first port of call would be
yeah,
Google.
yeah, it's just like, "Okay, this is a country, this is a country. Okay, cool, moving on. I didn't know that was a country, that's on me." Because I
yeah. And
just
there's definitely some countries where it's like, if you did not know this was a thing, I wouldn't blame you because either it's not very large or it's fairly new or it's just not involved with a lot of world history stuff. But like Spain,
What do you mean?
it's
Spain has had no history at all, basically.
I mean, it's also just, like, someone from America who doesn't
Yeah,
know Spain. Like, Spain hasn't been important to the history of the Americas in general.
absolutely not.
It's just like, you clearly, 1, you failed geography, but also you failed history, clearly. You failed 2 courses.
Or they were just never taught it. Entirely possible. Ignorance is
Oh
the
god.
default state. Never rule out the
I mean, like I said,
possibility that,
it's
you
been
know.
a while since I was in high school, but I remember learning about Spain in American history.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I also vaguely cognizant of the fact that America doesn't have like a standardized education like standard of like this is the curriculum. It's all a bit wibbly wobbly. So maybe there are some places in America where it's just like, hey, we're not going to do history.
We okay, it's a little complicated. We don't have a federal, as in set up by the federal government standard. We do, however, have a number of professional organizations who set standards, and various states have a set standard that is informed by those professional organizations. So, like, I'm more familiar with mathematics because obvious reasons. That's my area. But we've got the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, who's sort of the national professional organizations for mathematical educators, and they've got this list of like, right, these are the general math practices that you should be like trying to get students to build at every grade level. And then it's like, right, in these ranges, you should be making sure this is the sort of content that they're learning, and so on through there.
Does this include proving the existence of Spain?
Well, I don't
That
think that's a
classic mathematical proof.
mathematical problem, but
The math problem of Spain.
It's the traveling Spanish salesman problem.
well, I
You know
mean,
this.
there are mathematical problems you could use Spain with, but the main ones I'm thinking of are like the coastline problem.
I thought you just said cosine really strangely there for some reason. And I'm also a fan of the sentence, there are mathematical problems you can use Spain with. Good sentences, all round. Wow, we're making up for Christy not being here. There's a pup.
Yeah. Usually the dogs around the neighborhood are not loud enough for the mic to pick it up, but two
Same.
are really going at it. Just one big one and one tiny one by the sounds of it.
Classic. The tiny one thinks it's a big one.
Yeah. That's my guess.
Yeah, what are we doing today?
I don't know.
So Ragdoll wanted to shrimp.
Yeah, shrimp.
I mean, if we've
Shrimp.
got nothing else,
Hmm?
I'm gonna be shrimping it,
Shrimpin'. So shrimp is in reference
but not
to...
with a shrimp. I'm shrimping it with a deer.
Oh, dear. Get oh dear. Let me copy the thing. Copy link. Stick it in chat. Thank you. That's a link to the Discord. Copy the link of the thing. There we go. I don't know who this little tomato vegetable friend is.
They're just chilling.
They're just hanging out. This is who I'm going to be shrimping. This classic. This is what a mandrake looks like, right?
Turnip tomato.
This is a mandrake, obviously. A gentle mandrake.
I don't know what to shrimp.
So yes, the shrimping is a practice method by which you. I also apologise. I haven't explained my horrible Steelix cat. It's vaguely
You don't
terrifying.
need to.
And I'm going to assume any explanation would just make it worse, so I'm going to leave it. Anyway, I should probably do cats, but
You've done cats.
I know, but I'm still bad at it.
I mean, it probably doesn't help that cats sometimes just don't look like they make any sense.
Cats are sometimes puddles.
Sometimes bread, sometimes milk, sometimes void. Certain types of cat you can draw real easily, like
Yeah. Ah, the classic black cat.
sorted. Go for boom. Cool. Right, I don't know what I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do?
I don't know.
I'm gonna do a thing. What? What I could do? What would be most useful? Is there something in Final Fantasy IX that I have to draw a lot?
Just draw Vivi a bunch of times.
Draw Vivi a bunch of times. I've drawn Vivi a decent amount. I think one of the first things I tried to just sort of draw properly when I was younger was Vivi.
I mean, you could try drawing, because I know we haven't met her yet, but there is a Dragoon character who's got some armor.
Oh yeah.
And I know armor is not always the easiest thing to draw.
But I'd also have to try and come up with a simplified form of
There is that.
So, and it's one of those, isn't it? The thing where there's like eye cutouts in the hat.
That's a
Well, I
dreepy.
mean, it's dragoon armor. The helmet literally looks like a dragon.
Okay, I'm gonna try and draw that character from memory and then work from that. I'm gonna redline this. Oh, we can say the name because you're gonna change it anyways. Freya. I have drawn Freya. I drew Freya on stream once. A nice picture. Oh, hello. That's a thing.
You drew that, and I was immediately like, yeah, that's dreepy.
Yes. How did you know?
You drew a dreepy.
Oh,
I guess that's the character name.
that was
Dreepy.
an idea that I think would be fun. Is somebody picks a category, Pokemon, Dark Souls bosses, whatever, and just 10 minutes, try and draw as many as possible, and as soon as somebody guesses one, you can move on to the next one. Guesses what it is. Try and have people recognize as many as possible.
Like, guesses the category or guesses the individual things?
The thing you're drawing. So if I do like,
Mm.
it would be difficult for me to do Dark Souls bosses. I have no idea if anybody recognizes any of them. But it'd be fun to do Pokemon. Get like a random Pokemon generator and just draw that Pokemon. As soon as somebody guesses what it is, boom, next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Right, let's try and draw the best Freya I can from memory. Gee,
Like charades, but with drawing.
Yeah. Gee, what draw are you?
I still don't know.
Your the Inferno character?
Yeah, I could, I guess. I haven't really, like, actually. I've done one doodle of him. So, I guess I'll draw more of him, because I don't know if I can replicate the face that I drew.
You can just doodle them randomly, it's fine. I've been messing around with ideas for mine, because for reference, we haven't started yet, but we're in the process of starting a D&D style game based on D&D, but set in Dante's version of Hell, Inferno, or a gamified version thereof. And we've got characters for that who are their physical manifestation is representative of the sins that they are there to atone for? Question mark.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe atone.
It's a midlife crisis. They're not actually dead, but they're there halfway through to go, oh, hang on, let's reconsider some things. I keep looking at this Pokemon. What is this?
It's Drapey.
Drapey. Drapey?
Drapey. Yeah, it's
it drapes over things.
It's the little shotgun dragon thing.
Yeah, it's the fully evolved one is a dragon ghost who fires little Drapeys from its jet planes.
You expected that to make things clearer?
Yes, absolutely. Hold on, I'll show you another picture. Hopefully this makes things clear.
What? Why do they look like they've just stolen something?
Because they probably have their...
They have a stealth bomber for a head. What is this?
They're about to shoot their babies at you in self-defense.
So who's self-defense? Clearly not the babies.
No, but the babies like being shot because it's fun.
That wasn't necessary of you, but you have my thanks.
Like when you throw a small child up in the air and they don't realize that, hey, maybe this was child endangerment. They just think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, it's ballistic.
Pretty much. I hope that clears things up for you, by the way.
Not sure it did, but thank you. I appreciate the effort.
Well, that's just rude. Why don't you understand things?
Something. Trained as a mathematician. I have drawn Freya before in a doodle, which I was quite fond of.
When
But
you
yeah,
say Freya, all I can think of is the little tapestry character that you fully rendered.
Tapestry character?
But you see, this Freya is named after the goddess.
Inventor
The
tapestry.
the 16 symbols Freya is a pun.
Oh, right, yes.
You drew that, Chris. I don't know how to
Carpet,
make this
yeah,
clear.
sorry.
Sorry, I forgot the word for carpet.
It's fine. It's tapite, yeah, it's like a tapestry. I get it. I get the connection. I don't know how you. Well, that's the point of this exercise. Is I don't know how you work, so I'm gonna do my best, and then see where I went wrong, i.e., everywhere. Well, little Mandrake's proud of me at least.
Mandrake's always proud of you, so that doesn't count, though.
Wow! Wow!
Savage.
Sorry.
I mean, I don't have a rebuttal.
I'm sorry.
I mean, are you? Are you really?
I'm not sure.
A little.
Not convinced.
Mostly because of the reaction.
They're always proud of you. That's meaningless.
They are. They're proud of you. I'm sorry.
It's a facade.
It's not a facade. They are proud of you. Facade would imply they aren't proud.
True. Actually, all things considered, we're not too far away from meeting this character, are we? They're the next character we meet. Well, not the next character we meet. We could in several places before we get to them. We'll meet people as we go, but the next playable character. I think they are. There you go. Look forward to somebody who doesn't look anything like this joining our party.
It's been a while since I last played. I know she's definitely related to a major plot point. But I don't remember how long she's in the party until things come to a head with that.
I think it's pretty quick turnaround. And then, as with a lot of things in Final Fantasy IX, she just sort of gets forgotten about. Ironically, we'll get to that. Glad Kira's not him. Upset Kira. Unless Kira is here, in which case I apologize. Sure, right. Point of this is to get it wrong and then see how you got it wrong. So, have exciting things happened today? Apart from the discovery of mathematical onyx.
I mean, honestly, most of my day was occupied with the baptism and then melting.
Yeah, the melting has started again. Apparently, where I am at least, the temperature is expected to dip tomorrow and stay that way for a bit. So that's nice. Maybe we'll do a stream with the windows closed. Who knows?
Doubt, but
Getting
you know,
excited.
it's nice to have optimism.
Tracing over snouts is hard.
Yeah, particularly if it's like blends into the color of the fur, and you're dealing with perspective as well, and it's the whole thing. I'm kind of glad I did this because this is what the character would have looked like in the draw through otherwise.
And what's wrong with that?
But should I itemize the answer to that, or
Yes.
okay? Item number 1: everything.
That's not one item.
Item number 1B: everything else. But I should get used because this is also a species of characters, and gonna have to get used to drawing them because they're also in the story. Quite a few of them. It's all good practice, you know.
I mean, we've already met one.
Yeah. Sort of. There's a diversionary thing going on. Not diversion. What's the word I'm looking for? Divergent. Divergentary. Inevitable. It's a thing. We'll get there. And then we'll be sad. I finished my June Malander drawing.
Yay, you
that
did.
got
It
done.
looks great.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it's been hot, so I went
Hold
with the
on.
cowboy. Holding on.
Oh, it's not on the layer that I thought it would be. Hold on.
Layers?
Actually, it's not loading in. It's just doing the infinite. Never mind. Keep going. I'm trying to put more Raven stuff in. That's too big. I am putting my layer underneath all of yours so that these don't hide your drawings, even if it makes it harder to see. I am shrinking it as soon as it'll let me shrink it.
That is appreciated. Yeah, it's been very hot, so I went with a cowboy outfit. Hello. Hello, suspicious-looking deer. Going, oh yeah, it's really cowboy. Oh. So you say.
Yeah.
I was worried because it was like, is that very winksy?
Yeah, it looks wincy. It's
I changed some of the colors because there was like blue and green and pink and red, and I was like, let's calm it down a bit. I know this is Mal we're talking about, but there's no point in me drawing the lance, and I don't think anyone's going to be upset if I don't get the lance exactly correct in the draw through.
But what if I'm gonna be extremely upset? Even though I don't know how it's actually supposed to look.
Yeah, also you get different lances as the game goes on, so I've already drawn, James's sword completely wrong, and
What?
Everything's-
That's completely wrong. How
Ev-
dare
ev-
you?
Everything's been drawn wrong. The Queen, I think, is probably the most egregious example of something that's been drawn wrong. Still can't get my head around how she looks.
How is Queen Helga wrong? How could she ever be wrong?
I mean, Queen Helga's wrong full stop, but the way I've drawn her, yeah, it's a thing.
She is a great Muppet.
Well, I got that bit right then. So, okay. Freya, Shrimp, 1. Time for
Freya
reference.
Shrimp one.
Oh yeah, I should probably specify Final Fantasy, shouldn't I?
Probably.
Yeah, just typing in Freya is going to get you a lot of stuff, especially since God of War.
Hmm.
Thing I always found weird about Freya is she really looks like a red mage.
I mean, she's red, but the armor is very much Dragoon.
Honestly, it took me a while to realize it was armor. It just looks like a hat and coat.
Okay, that's fair.
Where is the official concept art? There we go. And it's small, so hopefully things won't get destroyed. Oops. Stop it. Import. There. Want to save it,
My
apparently.
biggest problem continues to be that apparently I just have zero visual reference for what Jupiter actually looks like.
Again, if it's a
Which-
character that's been in your head for a while and you haven't thought about details, it's hard.
It's a character that's been in my head for like the past 3 years.
That's fair.
And I made together with, well, not made together, well, kind of made together with Toe, and so I
Developed.
just want to do him justice, and it's, you know, I know some details, but I don't know how to portray them, and
Yeah. What? What? No.
it's
What?
difficult.
What? What?
What
What?
happened?
What?
What happened?
What happened? No.
What happened?
Hang on.
What? That's not,
Okay,
that's
I
not
tried.
right.
I tried to add the picture, but it just opened a new canvas, so I had to find my way back to this one. Oh dear. Okay, right.
Whoops.
Try again. Hey. There she be. My hair. Forgot my hair. Got about quite a lot by the looks of it.
You forgot about a cute little raincoat.
Yeah.
You
See what I mean
made
about armor?
her legs buffer.
Yeah, I for some reason I thought dinosaur legs. I don't know why.
I mean,
Also-
they kind of are.
Kind of.
They're dragon legs.
Taller ears. Okay, there wasn't the visor isn't a visor so much as just folded hat. There was armor. There was shoulder stuff. The tabard isn't quite as long. She looks like a gnome. No, sorry, not a gnome. A gnome. Not gnome. A gnome. Know what I mean?
No.
No or no?
No.
No.
This is a bit. This is a bit.
Is it? I feel
It's-
that only Chris is in on the bit, and I
It's-
don't know what the bit is.
It's a bit of a pain.
The bit is homonyms.
I am confused.
No, I was referring to. Do you remember? Difficult for you to remember if I can't.
Yeah, what am I supposed to remember?
What's it called? the horror game on the ship where you're a little
Which
some
one?
little person in a raincoat, little nightmares, and there's little gnomes. Remember?
Oh, the little hats.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I meant. Basically, every shape on this character is that.
Okay. I am following you now. Kind of. We're in the same park again.
Cool.
I left the park for a little bit and you kept going out. So I didn't know where you went.
Sometimes, for your own sanity, you just need to leave the park I'm in.
That was my thought, honestly. Just need to leave for a bit.
I like her hair. Got cool hair. Okay, is that a tabard or is it armor? Difficult to tell. I think it's armor. Looking at it. Yeah, it looks like armor. Okay, cool. It's got like metal bits around it. That'll be yeah. Why would you rivet a tabard? These things all make sense now.
Well, it is Final Fantasy, so
True. Don't think too much about the clothes in Final Fantasy.
Rusty is wearing metal shorts, so.
Oh yeah. Let's have a look. Oh god, I just decided to look
I
up.
vaguely remember him wearing metal shorts. He, at the very least, his legs are not covered.
Yeah, he's wearing. I think he's wearing shorts, but with like metal bits, like metal greaves. That's not. Is that the word? I don't know. But yeah, his lower legs are exposed. Yeah, no, it looks like he's just wearing normal shorts with like big leg pauldrons, for want of a better word.
Good old leg pauldrons.
Leg pauldrons. His mouth is wider than his face. But yeah, I just tried to Google him and my brain went, James, no. Will, no. Rusty, no. Steiner, that's the one.
Some guy.
Final Fantasy 9, some guy. Just every single time I have to mention that character in the draw through, that's what goes on in my brain. Just rattles off like 10 names before I actually get to the real one.
That's what we wanted.
Assuming these are the tops of these boots things, leg boots. And you have strange feet, which I'm definitely not going to remember how to draw.
Little ratty feet. Little rat
Exactly.
paws.
Precisely. Are there actually... No? Yes? No? No. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I'm trying to actually ascertain how many toes there are. Oh, I guess, yeah, there would be 4 on the front, and then there's the one at the back, which is the thumb. It's weird because the hand is curled up, so you can't count how many fingers there are, and I'm always a stickler for that. When there's a fictional creature that has a different number of fingers as toes. I'm like, how does this work? It can work, but how?
Yeah, it's one thing if one of the toes is just not with the rest of them. It's like you said, it's like, oh, there's 4 of them and then one in the back.
Yeah. That's fine. that is often representative of things that happen in nature. Also, little thin rat tail with a little bow on it. What about that?
Now,
As
the
opposed
main
to-
exception I make for that is if there's birds involved. Because bird feet are weird just in general. They've got their toes facing all sorts of different directions, depending on the species of bird. And birds don't have fingers. They have an singular arm finger.
Arm finger.
So fantasy birds that turn the wings into hands get to do just whatever the heck they want. There's no real... There's not really a real world equivalent.
Okay, cool. It's so difficult on a tablet to just hide a layer in Aggie. You have to move to the mouse to do that. It's not like styluses controlling layer things. Hello there, Jupiter.
I don't like his clothes yet, but my brain is busting.
Like I'm assuming Jupiter's
You're
like
assuming.
yeah, just in general, as part of my lifestyle. Yeah, so Jupiter's from the future, right?
Yeah, future.
Yes. So that and the things on the arm there are like circuit board things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, musical notes." Oh wait, they're not a bard.
No.
Only bards can wear musical notes. You know this.
And Jupiter comes from a time when I was talking with Toe and we were like, cool. What if the future really sucked? And like it was really bad, like we're going full like horrid capitalist nightmare over here. And also time travel is a unionless job. Basically. Because
Okay.
Yes, looking at the two sketches you've done, this looks sort of like Freya and then just like Chinese bootleg Freya.
It's Freya and Frigg.
Because it stemmed basically from our idea of like, okay, what if in the future, when it's usually like, oh, time travel is cool and it's new and it's interesting, what if it just became like the most mundane, thankless job you could think of? What happens then? And that's basically where Jupiter came from.
Nice. Well, not nice. Sounds unpleasant, but
I mean, Jupiter is just living his life, you know. Jupiter is like an antagonist in that universe.
they're
Because he
trying.
gaslights people.
Thinks he's doing good.
Because he
Right?
thinks this is all good and fine and dandy, and that, you know, like, sometimes, you know, you just have to kill a person.
Oh yeah, we've all done that.
Sometimes that person is your friend. It happens, you know?
Classic.
Classic. I'm sure if we ever came, like, you know, this situation in which I have to kill you, I'm sure, like, if things had been different, you would have done the same to me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've planned for lots of eventualities when it comes to that sort of thing. It's fine. Everyone thinks about that.
Exactly, everyone thinks about that, so, you know, it's fine. And there's no, like, moral quandaries about that or anything.
No.
And anyone can, you know, just live their life like that. You're happy living your life like that, right? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Now explain why they're an antagonist.
Because that was them gaslighting. Into thinking this is all fine and good and this is how you should live your life.
Oh, it isn't. Oh.
Hey, guess what? Maybe don't murder your friends.
That's where I've been going wrong. That's why I don't have any friends. Keep killing them. Honestly.
You know, it happens to the best of us, but just, generally, don't do what Jupiter would do, and you're probably gonna be fine.
You know what? Now I say it out loud. That's so obvious. Thanks, Jupiter.
Oh, Jesus.
That's one of those conversations you can really take out of context.
Yeah, I'm glad, Mrs.
There would be many quotes. Hang on, I need to look at the rat character. What do we call them? Squeak or whatever it was.
Oh, I don't remember. That's the one I don't remember.
It was something with a Q,
Yeah. Oh, Q Mark.
I
So
think.
it's Queek Mark.
Quick Mark.
Queek Mark.
Good
Okay,
old Quick
interesting.
Mark.
Yeah. So there are differences between them and Freya, physical ones. So, which makes sense in the story.
I mean, I would hope so on account of the fact that Freya is an adult and
Well, yeah.
Mark is a child.
But also Mark is distinctively rattier. Whereas Freya's got a bit more dragony stuff going on. Still very much like, dragon rat. Fun combination. Have I mentioned that I just really like the character designs in this game? And now I just want to do more Avonvale stuff. Oh, time. I want to do Outliers stuff and Avonvale stuff.
You have too much stuff. You're like Leonardo da Vinci.
No. And he got paid for some of it.
Some of it. You also get paid for some of it.
True.
You have more in common with Leonardo da Vinci than you think.
Did he die penniless?
I don't remember.
That's the classic story, isn't it?
Probably.
Just want to know what the future holds,
And I can Google it.
Speaking of which, thank you very much to my patrons.
No one has commissioned you to draw a horse shit.
No, I don't think they have. What? There's probably one in hell, right? Probably got to paint a
Probably.
horse at some point. Hang on, let me have a look at the commission list. Dark's got a lot of things I need to paint in hell. And to be fair, some of it's like, we need to design this monster that's basically just mentioned in name. So we've got a bit of artistic license. Give me the things. Thank you very much. Okay, it says all that, blah, blah, blah. Also, a lot of the
Well,
words...
he had enough money when he died to have an heir to inherit it.
Oh, nice. No, he inherited the debt.
Yeah. Also,
No horses.
Also,
I
he
love-
died owning vineyards. And if you know anything about vineyards, those aren't cheap.
Sorry, I'm reading the reading the commission list, going, "Are there any horses here?" And as I'm doing it, Dark is moving things around. It's very weird.
There's this guy,
I'll leave him to it.
Leonardo's longtime pupil and companion, Salai, question mark, I don't know how to pronounce his name. And it just like says Salai or Il Salena, the little unclean one, i.e. the devil.
What?
Leonardo's
This escalated.
household in 1490 as an assistant. So
Sure, that didn't raise any eyebrows at all. Or is it a term of affection? Oh, he's a little devil. You know?
After only a year, Leonardo made a list of his misdemeanors, calling him a thief, a liar, stubborn, and a glutton. And he had made off with money and valuables on at least 5 occasions and spent a fortune on clothes.
And this was his inheritor?
This man lived with him for the next 30 years.
Okay.
Well, he was the main inheritor. He also gave his vineyards to like 2 family members, so he had enough vineyards to split it between 2 people.
He
And
owned the
apparently
Mona
he
Lisa.
also gave
He got the Mona Lisa.
one of the serving women who worked for him a fur-lined coat.
Oh.
So he was rich enough to have money for someone to inherit and not debt, enough vineyards to split between 2 people, and a fur-lined coat, at the very least.
I mean, back then, is a fur-lined coat that amazing? Depends what the fur is, really. Squirrel fur?
Yeah. Could be anything, really.
Anything.
Could be anything.
Anything. Is it stitched entirely out of the fur of dormice? Very patchwork.
I don't know if dormice would be something you could really make a fur coat out of.
Not with that attitude. See? Cheap knows. Ray, how does your coat work when you're kneeling down? Why did I choose this pose?
It works like a little raincoat.
I mean, yeah, kinda.
Basically, what it seems to be. Armor over a
Isn't
raincoat.
that area of the map kind of rainy?
Yes. I believe it's in perpetual rain. There are a lot of places in the Final Fantasy IX world that have a perpetual state of weather.
I mean, with that place, I figure it's mostly because it's like, okay, story-wise, you only really go there for one major event, and the rain is for, like, thematic and mood stuff, and the devs just didn't want to make it again.
Pretty sure
it's like, I don't really remember any other major events that happened there other than the big one.
I mean, it's not. Well, spoilers.
I don't know anything that happens there permanent.
It has the subtitle Realm of Eternal Rain. So.
Oh. Okay, well, in that case.
In the same way that I think Trino is the city of night and all that sort of stuff. So, it's a thing that happens. Like I say, from a gameplay, from a storytelling standpoint, it's like, hey, it'd be great if it was raining here.
Yeah, well, and that's what I figured, but then again, I didn't remember what it was called, because I don't remember names of places all that much. I usually rely on the map to figure out where I need to go.
Oh, if you want another one of... If you want to list off one of the 700 projects that I've thought about doing at some point in the past, one of them was redoing the titles of every location in Final Fantasy IX, because when you arrive at a new location, it comes up with, like, the name of it, and in this sort of, I want to say stylized text, but it's not really stylized. It feels like placeholder, almost. Like they wanted to make something that looked nicer and more thematic, but they never actually got round to it. And I always thought, oh, I wonder if you could actually design some nice, like a nice way of making the text. A bit like you ever play Kingdom Hearts? When you get to a new place, the name of the place is thematically appropriate and it's all revealed in a fun animation or whatever. Yeah, I feel like that's what they wanted to do with Final Fantasy IX, but it just looked a bit naff. So there you go. That's a project I could have spent my time on.
I mean, also I cannot say anything about your project considering I started working on an animatic literally yesterday.
Yeah. Now is when I can talk about all the other things I've worked on. So you can't admonish me.
Not without being just a giant hypocrite.
I mean,
You're welcome
honestly,
to.
I
I am.
don't like care about being a hypocrite. I know I'm a hypocrite.
Human beings are hypocrites by virtue of the fact that the world is very complicated and their brains are very simple.
Yeah.
So you're bound to come up with some sort of contradiction between intended morals and actions at some point.
Exactly. I also just like to correct people even when I'm wrong.
I mean, human brains are pretty complicated, but that's part of the problem because they're so complicated we don't quite know what's going on even with our own thinking.
Yeah, well, I mean that makes sense. You know, it's
You
difficult
have to think about why you think a thing.
It's difficult to emulate a computer on itself. You know what I mean? So how would a human brain understand how a human brain works? We can make models to simplify things, so it's better to understand. But
Yeah, but even in like just the with the whole contradiction thing, like your brain is making some connections with things, but you don't know why unless you stop to think about why you think, oh, this is good, but this is bad, even though these are similar things.
yeah.
You have to stop and think about, okay, but why did I decide that one of these was good and one of these was bad?
Also, egg corns. I watched a video on those yesterday. Which are expressions that people mishear, but come up with an alternative that actually sort of makes sense, but is wrong. So like egg corn instead of acorn. It's like that makes sense. I get where you're coming from with egg corn. It's like a little, looks like an egg. It's a corn, technically. It's a seed. Yeah. It's just the brain trying to make the best of what it can do with the limited information. I did like it was a video about them, and it listed like 100 in the video of just common phrases that people mishear and say in the way that they think it is that does actually kind of make sense but isn't correct. There.
Yeah, imaging coming. Hold on, I'm gonna shrink and move it.
But yeah, at the start of the video is like, I'm going to find one that that you do because everybody does them. And so I was like, ooh, I wonder which one I do. Turns out none of them. I'm sure there is one though, somewhere. There must be an expression that I'm like, oh, I got that wrong.
I mean, probably.
The one actually that I wasn't sure about was the difference between or the discrepancy between butt naked and buck naked. But unfortunately, nobody can seem to agree which one actually came first in that case. So.
Yeah.
So that
To me,
was.
I'm not even sure why the etymology would end up being buck naked, because at least with butt naked, it's like your butt is showing.
Yeah, I can't remember what the explanation was now.
Bucks are naked.
I seem to remember the explanation wasn't actually to do with bucks. It was something else.
Well, that's dumb. How can that
in
have to
that
do
case,
with bucks?
the only thing I could figure is that like buck is from like some old Germanic thing where it's just kind of like, oh, it actually means this, but I don't speak ye old Germanic, so I look at that and go buck as in deer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Words are weird. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like with
Oh
earlier,
yeah, that
like
was it.
with last week where it was like awful. Well, awful does mean like we are in awe, but awe also means we are at least mildly terrified.
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad I looked this up because I remember being surprised by what it was, and then it wasn't to do with bucks, which you would think, but it's actually the buck was used as an expression in America during the era where people had slaves, made to refer to either slaves, like African slaves, or Native Americans. And yeah,
Oh, okay.
so stick with
I
butt.
like my explanation better.
So either stick with butt naked or, think about deer.
Deal with the consequences.
See, I remember going, oh, and yeah, now I know why.
I mean, I can see it, but also, oh god.
The problem with one of those is because nobody uses that word anymore, quite rightly. Nobody knows that is a bad thing to say now. But also, if nobody knows it's a bad thing to say, is it a bad thing to say? Because no one knows what it is. Like,
I mean,
the language
it
is
depends if
thankfully
nobody
disappeared.
nobody knows it, or whether we're just not aware that people do know it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Just because we didn't know it doesn't mean somebody else didn't.
Well, and it also sort of depends. Like some words end up losing their teeth in some areas, but not others. Like oh. So okay, so you know how on the internet you've got like all the misspellings of like words that pop up. So you've got like spoopy because it's funny.
Booby.
And also there's been at least a couple of signs I've seen where it's like, hey, they just misspelled this and then just decided to sell it, I guess. And
Oh yeah, that's fun.
people latch onto that because it's funny. But a spook is also slang for one of two things. It's either slang for like an FBI agent or it's slang for a black guy in a derogatory sense.
Okay, that's interesting. The former one's interesting. The less said about the latter, the better. But over here, a spook is like a spy, sort of MI5 kind of thing. So
yeah, well, FBI does a lot of. They're the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so some of that does technically involve quote unquote spy work, but they're not always good at it.
so that's why they're spoop. We have spooks. You have spoops.
I mean, for me, it's like I heard that and I was immediately like, oh no, because we use that word. It's also a Dutch word, and it just means ghost.
Hey,
It's just a ghost.
ghost.
Well, and I think that was, and I can't speak for like the FBI etymology, though I think it's a similar thing with like, oh, it's a spy, so it's a spook. But that was, I don't know if you've seen, there was a gentleman on Tumblr who posted some pictures of himself sitting in the dark, and he's a black man with very dark skin, and so like, because the lights are out and his skin is so dark, the only things you see are the whites of his eyes and his really, really white teeth.
Oh yeah.
And the post itself is kind of funny because people are just kind of like, "How do you get your teeth so white?" And it's like this ancient African tradition of brushing them.
This was the first time that there's a TV show in Britain, which is now all on iPlayer, if you can get iPlayer, called Red Dwarf, and it's a science fiction show with a budget of 5 pence, and but very much one of those ones where like they were very dedicated. They put in a lot of effort with that 5 pence. But one of the other things about the show is that it has a diverse cast, in particular, a wide range of skin tones. which if you're trying to do moody atmospheric sci-fi lighting, turns out can cause problems. And there's one scene, this is the first time I thought about, oh, hang on, actually, lighting and skin tone, that's something you got to take into account during production. And it was an episode called Back to Reality, and I'm just going to try and find if I can get the shot, because I know exactly the shot I'm thinking of, and it's just like, this character has these sort of false teeth that are sort of comically big. I'm going to see if I can find it, because it's just, you just see the teeth in the eyes. They're in this like dimly lit car park. I can't find it. But yeah, I remember that shot, and I'm like, lighting is important.
Yeah, it's there was an American. Well, and actually, I think there was a second version. Well, not second version, a continuation of it that I think still might be going, called Leverage. Two of the main characters that interact a lot and are in a lot of the same scenes in the first series is the team hacker, who is a black man and fairly dark in comparison, and the thief, quote unquote, the person who's really good at breaking into places, who is one of the palest blonde-haired chicks you will ever see. And they are sometimes sitting next to each other or standing next to each other in a lot of scenes. So it's like, cool. Lighting wise, if you just do like lazy lighting, either he is going to be in shadow or she's just going to be just like completely washed out.
Okay.
So what do we do?
The best I can find is just screenshotting YouTube.
Is it your intention to do that all visible on stream?
Yeah. Because
okay.
I don't actually have a good way of doing screenshots outside of Clip Studio, so I have to do it on stream. It's fine. And,
no, I was just wondering, you know.
Look,
the only thing you can see is his teeth and his white shirt.
Yeah, this is not the best demonstration because it's just it's a not very good quality video on YouTube that I'm screenshotting, but yeah, it's just like lighting's important.
The fact that your icon is now the squinty-eyed parsnip on Discord makes this even funnier, because it looks like your icon is squinting to try and see what's in the very poorly lit picture.
But yeah, that was the first time I realized that, like, yeah, if you're lighting a scene, make sure that all of the actors actually are well lit. This is
unless
the thing.
They're supposed to not be well lit, but that's then an artistic choice.
Exactly. Make sure you're getting the effect you intend to get, because this character was supposed to be visible, as far as I know. Yes, I can recommend Red Dwarf. Again, it's all on iPlayer now for some reason. If you can get it, and if you want to watch it. That episode in particular is interesting, weird, silly. Actually, I've already talked about that episode because we did a wiki thing, and I used Red Dwarf, the Red Dwarf wiki, and I had somebody draw the despair squid, which is in that episode.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember asking someone to draw the despair squid, but I don't remember what ended up getting drawn. Probably just a sad squid.
Yeah.
I still have to draw the...
Oh yeah, the Gunman of the Apocalypse.
Yeah. Gunman of the Apocalypse.
The 4 horsemen but cowboys.
The 4 cowboys of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
I still want to draw that. It's just that I have to draw 4 cowboys.
Yeah, but you get to design them.
I
Yeah.
mean, you could also only draw
And
you could draw
after
one cowboy
having to
and cut and
design
paste it 3 more
Jupiter, I'm
times.
just like, designing people's hard.
That's part of the
Characters.
fun. The designing part's the bit I like. Then having to draw them again, that's the problem.
Mhm.
Why do you think I'd make the videos where I just design characters and then forget they ever existed?
Yeah, I'm always a little bit hesitant with designing because I like doing it, but also I never put in the amount of details that I like.
E.
So I'm just like, great, I started designing something and now I have nothing. I have a character that looks like every other character I've drawn.
No nonsense.
And there's nothing special about them. And that's what I'm really scared of.
I have so many of your characters that I look forward to drawing every October. And I don't go, why do I have to draw all these? They're all the same. No!
Yeah, but like almost most of them don't come from a like design first like kind of thing. They come from character first. They come from I have made a character in D&D or whatever, and now I'm just drawing that character and I know stuff about them and I can put in stuff. And even then it's just like, you know, looking at my old stuff of like the first drawing of Phoebe that I did or the first drawing of Durgash, and I'm just like, what? There's nothing here. There's nothing visually interesting here.
Oh yeah, characters
That comes
develop.
later.
Characters develop. You're not going to get it right on the first try.
True. But, you know, that's like the thing with character design is that you're not, it's not like you're trying to get it right on the first time, but you kind of are.
You're trying to get
'Cause-
something on the first try that makes you go, well, that's worth messing around with.
Yeah, exactly. But all that I think that's like, oh, that's worth messing around with comes later for me. Like visually interesting detail comes later. So, yeah.
Well, you kind of already have the characters in the form of the Gunmen of the Apocalypse because they're defined by being death and famine and war.
Yeah.
Oh, this is another thing. What are the Four Horsemen? Because it seems to change from place to place.
It depends
Death,
on
war.
how you translate it.
I mean, that's true because it's the Bible.
Yeah.
But I think generally it's death, war, pestilence, and the
Sometimes there's plague or famine or...
it's famine, I think, yeah. That's the one that's the four I've heard the most. Which
Yeah, I think...
in a sense makes it makes the most sense to me because they're like pretty much the three leading causes of death. Like
Yeah.
illness, hunger, and war, and then, there's death.
And then there's death,
Well,
which is the leading cause of death.
Yeah.
The main descriptors they have in the Bible are the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the fourth horse sometimes gets translated to green if you're not careful, but it means green more like sickly.
Oh.
So people who are less likely to go well, who are more likely to go well if we say green, people will think like lime green will describe it as the pale horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So those are their colors. But
I think they should just
the
translate
fun
as the
thing
green
is,
horse.
again, depending on the translation you're
Neon
looking for,
green.
it's not
Yeah.
pestilence, it's conquest. So we have death, famine, war, and conquest.
Oh, interesting. That comes from a
Yeah.
place that has not had trouble with food for a while.
Yeah, for me, that one's I mean, I say this as someone who is established within like the time I've spent talking to you guys this day that I'm very much not Christian or like religious.
The only reason I know this is because I have read way too many books that use Revelations
Yeah.
just sort of as this is a neat thing to play around thematically with.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I have a copy of the Book of Revelations. That is the only part of the Bible I own because it's got cool stuff in it.
I get it. For me, it's like conquest and war are very much like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But who am I to argue with the
Again,
literal
it's
Bible? I mean, I do it all the time. But
who am I to do it? There's that hypocrisy thing again, isn't there?
let's we've established I love being a hypocrite. God, that yeah.
But yeah, it
Don't
was
bring me to
more.
church unless it's for
So in
tourists.
the Bible, they're
As a
not
tourist.
named; they're only identified by their colors. And there's like a
Oh,
sentence or so that says that they are given quarter of the earth to kill with sword and famine and plague by mean like yada 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 stuff like that. Um,
oh, okay.
Usually the way that's translated is that like okay, the pale one is like death. They're the one who comes last and just takes everything out. Uh, the black horse is famine, which is what comes after war, who is the red horse, and then the first horse who comes in, the white horse, is sometimes described as conquest, but is also sometimes described as the Antichrist.
No.
So basically, the idea is these four horsemen come in one after another. First comes the Antichrist, bringing forth this idea of conquest. Once people are sort of addicted to this idea of conquest, then you get war. After war, you've got famine, and then after famine, death comes in and just takes out everything else.
Okay.
Oh,
Also, hi, Christy. Welcome to Bible Talk.
hi, hello. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Hi.
Like there's some really interesting imagery in Revelations. It's just a shame that some people are really weird about it.
Yeah. I
It's like a lot of things with the Bible. Is it's supposed to be? It's a very clever allegory. That a lot of people take
with
literally.
Revelations, it's explicitly like Revelation. The Book of Revelations is describing stuff like this hasn't happened. At least with some of the rest of the Bible, you could make the argument of like we're recording like culture history or something where it's like this might have happened or this might just be a story or something related to this might have happened and we just sort of like fluffed it up over the years. Like there is a Middle Ages story about Saint Nicholas reviving a couple of pickled children.
What? Oh,
I'm not even
yes, I remember
joking.
this. I remember this being mentioned. Actually, no, I remember this being mentioned in Inside Number 9. The bones.
But
of
yeah,
Saint Nicholas.
there's an old story from the Middle Ages which like even Catholic theologians are like this is probably not a thing that actually happened, so it's not part of like the canon of Saint Nicholas, who was an actual dude. But
The
there is a
internet.
story that there was a famine going on, and some dude was desperate, I guess, and or stupid, whatever. Killed a couple of kids and put them in a put them in a barrel to pickle them to in an attempt to try and sell them later as ham. Saint Nicholas came into town, realized what was going on, and then just revived the dead children from the barrel. And so you there. I've seen a couple of old images of the story of Saint Nicholas, standing there doing the sign of the cross, and there's a barrel with two naked children standing in it, like little children, like toddler size.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Perform necromancy.
Well, then necromancy is essentially a cornerstone of Christianity, isn't it? being revived from the dead.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point. Well, not the whole point, but it's certainly the end point.
But yeah, so you've got stuff like that where it's like if this, like Saint Nicholas is a person that we know existed. That particular story, probably not, but it's a funny story to tell at least, because then I can tell people that Santa Claus performed necromancy. I'm not taking it seriously. I mostly say it as a joke type thing, but it's a fun story.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that from the old Danish Christmas TV advent calendar for children? Wow. Okay.
Naturally.
See, now the problem is Danish and Christmas. Now all I'm thinking about is that YouTube channel that you shared with somebody singing Christmas songs while playing the piano with a relentlessly cheerful smile and singing in Danish. I now just imagine that's what all Danish Christmas is presented as. Who was that? I keep getting recommended it every now and then.
Yeah, I do agree that the Christianity and the Bible have some good, funny stories. Just, some of them are less interesting and good and fun and are rage-inducing, and that's why I shouldn't go to church.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Most of the church stuff today was fine. It was just like the actual it's not, is it a priest? It's not a priest, but the guy actually telling the story from the Bible. No.
That's fair. And I am definitely not going to be one to force anyone to go to church or convert to a Christian. And this has been a thing that I've known about myself for a very long time.
Because he told the story of Jeremiah, I guess, would be and I don't know if you're familiar with that. I wasn't. I had no idea this guy existed.
No, I have no idea.
But it's basically Jeremiah is a prophet. God, it's in the middle of big stuff happening, and Jerusalem is a very small, tiny city-state in surrounded by big, powerful guys like Babylon and Egypt. And they're basically oh, we don't know what the fuck to do because we're tiny, and should we join these guys? So Jeremiah is gets visited. God whispers in Jeremiah's ear, "Hey, go down to the valley where the pottery people live, and I'll tell you something there." And observe them. So Jeremiah goes and does that, and it's some metaphor about how people are clay and God makes beautiful things with the clay of people's life or something like that. And then God's like, "Hey, watch this though," and points Jeremiah to this guy who's throwing clay onto the ground because the pot didn't work out, clay is on the ground, gets completely destroyed. It's God's just I could do that to you. Fuck you. Anyway, you all should listen. You should go to the people of the city. Tell them that I showed you this. And what I said about you being clay and that I can just destroy you if you don't become a beautiful pot.
God's good at threats. I mean, if you're all powerful.
That's the lesson. So I was sitting in the middle of service going, "What the fuck?"
I mean, the fun thing is, depending on the story, some of the stories it's especially Old Testament, well, only Old Testament stuff because no one else really uses the New Testament other than Christians. You go to Muslim or Jewish communities and they've got a totally different reading on that story and or a totally different translation because it turns out Hebrew is hard.
Isn't
So I can't speak for that particular story, but yeah, and also like a lot of modern Christianity has this weird thing where we'll like they'll like focus on a like one line, one sentence, and just ignore the context of the rest of the story. So it's like, cool, you've given this metaphor about pottery. Did you read the rest of the story?
I mean, he like basically like summarized that whole story and then was like, but then God, I tuned about I was halfway through, but it basically ended like, and God saved Jeremiah's life and sent soldiers away and just like because he loves us and he wants to save us, and that's like his like want to save us is bigger than his need to like throw us away like clay, so we should accept God's love into our heart. And at that point I was just like, what?
Why did he show the threat then?
So what I'm getting from this is that God has a major savior complex and also will just yeet us away like old clay uh, if we don't accept the savior complex. Anyway, don't bring me to
Sometimes
church.
sometimes the way a story is told can really affect what you take away from it.
A lesson was learned, but not the one that they intended.
Yeah. This is the problem with allegory. You got to tell it right. But the one thing that I do think I know anyway about translations of the Bible is that apparently the old it's easier for it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is to pass a camel through the eye of a needle or something like that. I can't remember which way around it all is. Apparently that's a mistranslation and camel should actually be rope. Which makes a lot more sense. Apparently the Hebrew words for camel, the old Hebrew or whatever, is camel and rope are relatively similar. And while it is quite difficult to get a camel through the eye of a needle, it did lead...
One would say impossible.
Yeah, but it then led to people thinking that, the eye of the needle must have been like an entrance to a city or something like that. And no, it's difficult to get a rope in a needle. That is something you can get your head around, because a rope's like a big thread, and you're supposed to be able to put thread for a needle, but you can't with a rope because it's big. So again, translation's important, and I'm still trying to find this. I've been looking for a video of somebody, basically just somebody messing up spinning pottery. Or spinning pottery? I don't know what it's called. And just like constantly like smashing it and throwing it, and I wanted to share that because I thought it was funny, the image of God doing that. And I can't find it. Again, Tumblr keeps recommending me this thing, and as soon as I want it, it ain't there.
Yeah, it was...
Let me make things smaller so you got space.
It was honestly a baffling experience because it's like it was fine until then. Like I'm never gonna be converted or anything, but it was having a decently nice time. My niece was getting baptized. There were songs. Like, I can get behind the community of things. That's fine. But it's, to just like, okay, now that we've accepted this like new member of our community by the baptization and just talked about like God creating life. Anyway, let's talk about God throwing us away like a hump of clay.
Yeah, I feel like the idea of using that story in a baptism makes more sense to focus on the molding side than the throwing away side.
Yeah, that's my like. You can make like a good metaphor out of that and like have like a nice little story about creation of life and how God has a plan and wants you to be a beautiful pot or whatever. But like,
Wants to put flowers
like,
in you.
but like, like don't start that off that storyline with like, God sees us as like a really bad hump of clay. and he wants to eat us in the garbage can. And he has threatened us to do so unless we get our shit together. It's just cool, great.
Yeah.
It felt like it was such, for me, it was a really weird disconnect. And then also it didn't help that the guy said so, because Jeremiah was like, he got that whispered and shown, and then he wanted to, he told that message to the city, to the masses, and just was constantly punished for it.
We hate
because,
pots.
Usually if you tell people they're garbage and bad, and God wants to throw them away,
They had a similar reaction to
they
you.
won't take it well. Surprise! They won't be
Okay.
happy with that.
Okay, okay. So, I reckon here's my thought of how this story was sort of written down. Was the story stopped originally before he went back and told everyone, and that was just whatever. That was the story, and it was so badly received that they thought, hang on, actually, let's put at the end of this. We'll put in that reception as an ending to the story, and then something comes of that, and then it all works out. So, so you take the feedback and put it in the story itself. Was like, no, actually, we've thought of that. It's in the story now.
Do you take constructive criticism?
Yeah, exactly. The Bible was like well, actually, I don't know about this sort of. This is Old Testament, I assume.
Yeah, Old Testament.
It feels Old Testamenty. But yeah, the sort of one of the standardized versions of the Bible that we sort of use nowadays was like constructed in the year 600, 900, something like that. Quite a while after any of the events were supposed to have happened. So there's certainly time to do some revisions, certainly time to go, actually, let's add this little bit, and then it makes more sense,
Yeah,
It's good to edit
let's
things.
like tack on a little bit about like actually God loves you.
Yeah, it's good. Every book goes through an editing phase, and if you've got 900 years, you can get a lot done. I'd love to have 900 years to edit my work. That'd be great.
But yeah, then the guy telling the story was like, and now like in these times, like if Jeremiah would come to us and like if he told this to us now, how would you receive it? And I'd just be, and I was thinking to myself, like, I just tell Jeremiah to fuck off.
If you told it like that.
Like, go away. I don't want to hear this.
I mean, it's funny that they should say that because here in America, we've got plenty of Christians who are going around saying, and these people are worthless dirt. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, like
I know what I would say to someone who'd said that.
Yeah, I say the same to everyone who told me I was garbage in the eyes of God. I'd just be like, well, fuck you too.
I still think my favorite response to that sort of thing is a non-binary individual whose name I cannot remember because mostly I just, whenever I see the TikTok pop up, I just kind of go, oh, it's this one again, and then I listen to it. The version I'm most familiar with is actually a stitch between two different individuals. But the original person who recorded it basically went like, right, we're going to do like a sort of folky song with a little banjo-y type thing. And we're just going to sing a song about how I don't give a fuck what your God thinks of me. I didn't ask.
Yeah.
And then the stitch is someone basically adding backup vocals and more a second string instrument to it, which improves it and makes it funnier. But yeah, that's essentially the same thing. It's like, okay, your God hates me. Cool. I didn't ask.
I don't care.
If he wants to do something about it, he can come here himself.
He can
In the
come
meantime, you
fight
can
me
just
in
leave.
the Denny's parking lot.
Now that'll be a great addendum to the Bible. And then in the 21st century, God came down and smote somebody in the Denny's parking lot. Okay, today I've learned a new word, which is the TikTok stitch. I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah, so stitching is when you take another TikTok and record a TikTok with that TikTok playing.
I knew the phenomenon. I was not aware there was terminology. Phenomenon, like taking biological field notes.
I mean, you could be doing a research study on the environment of TikTok. I wouldn't recommend it, mainly because you might lose your mind.
I lose my mind just going on there.
Exactly.
Although there is the increasing professional pressure to maybe go, maybe I should actually go on there.
But then you'd have to make TikTok videos.
Yeah, I can't even bother to make YouTube ones. TikTok. Keep forgetting. I'm trying to practice doing a quick Freya so I can get used to drawing. See, I just didn't even want to do a conversation about TikTok. Should immediately change the subject.
I mean, I only brought it up because it was a funny video. Like,
oh yeah,
there are some people who make some neat things on TikTok, but TikTok as a platform is a cesspool. And also, there's a lot of cesspool groups of individuals on TikTok, but that's just sort of true anywhere.
Yeah. I recently saw a Tumblr post of like that was like asking someone like, oh, how come like you say you don't like TikTok yet, you know, every other post you reblog is a TikTok, and it's just like, well, it wasn't like done by an algorithm, it went through peer review.
Yeah.
And
all the TikToks you see on Tumblr are peer reviewed, and that's important.
It's the exact same way I consumed like Vine content when that was a thing. It was just like, these Vines have been deemed good enough by the people I follow, so therefore I will watch them.
Hi, Kiro.
Hi, Kiro.
Hi, Kiro.
Woke up from a sudden nap. Was it fun?
Nap.
Fun? Relaxing? Refreshing?
Fun.
Positive words. Fun. Exhilarating. Productive. Astounding. Enlightening. Any other words?
We just finished our Bible talk.
Moorish. Yes.
Yeah, we had a Bible study about Revelations and mistranslations. And also Jeremiah.
Revelations and... Is Revelations in the Old Testament? That feels weird.
No, Revelations is at the end of the New Testament.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It should be chronological, right? Vaguely. Who redlining? Is the person who uses red lines.
I mean, they are practicing.
Yeah. Doing some good deers. Shrimping.
Yeah. They've done some good shrimping. I have not shrimped.
I did. I'm practicing this character. This was my blind attempt. Hither.
I think I've got a better idea of how to get the snout to look snouty, but the legs are fuck deer legs.
I mean, it's deer legs.
Yeah.
It's like horse legs, but deer legs.
Part of the issue always, particularly with just pure outlines, is you lose shading and contours. So
yeah, and that's what I've been trying to figure out. Like, how do I not paint this and still make it obvious that like this is a snout and not just someone steamrolled over a deer and flattened the whole thing. And I think I've got an idea of how to do that, but the legs are just so weird.
Well, the snouts, I have that trouble just bloody drawing Tory. let alone an actual realistic deer.
Also, I do want to add that my niece, aka also my sister-in-law and my brother, got like at least 7 like different types of Bibles as like gifts.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's apparently there's a Bible for every life stage. Like genuinely, they got a baby Bible, a toddler Bible, a child Bible, the child Bible was 2 books, actually. It was 2 parts. And there was, like, a little, like, book of, like which was, in my opinion, the funniest thing, of, like, a little book with, like, oh, baby's first words, it's like, "Oh, here's, moon and sun," but it was Bible edition. Um,
I
so you
mean,
open up the book and it's like, God.
A is for God Almighty.
Z is also for God.
Um, and it, like, does the Bible by, like, words and sometimes phrases. So you just get, like, apple and snake, like, in reference to, like, the Garden of Eden and such, and Adam and Eve. And then there's also sometimes just, like, a little picture and then, like, God's peace. And it's just like, what? Where did that come from? We were talking about apples.
I mean, I remember having a children's Bible growing up, but it was less that and more, here are some simplified versions of some very famous Bible stories with pictures to go along with them.
Yeah, that makes
God
sense.
bless. I mean,
I-
my favorite thing from that little book was like on one page, like there was like 4 pictures every page, and one picture was like picture of like Moses' mother, and it like said like mother of Moses or something like that, like an entire phrase, and then like a page later, like you had to turn the page. Then there was Moses.
Well, yeah, the mother came
And
first.
because like, I mean, chronologically, it's correct, but I feel like in your baby's first words, Moses should come before the entire phrase.
I do like the idea of the tangential Bible, though. Like, there's Moses, his mother, and Joseph's juicer, and I don't know anyone's. I was I was trying to think of like an Old Testament name, and the first thing that came into my head was Baron Zaya, which is from Morrowind, I think.
Good old Baron Zaya from the Bible.
Yeah. It's got the Aya, it's got,
Morrowind is basically the Bible, right?
yeah,
I'm so
God-
glad Miss isn't.
God's in it. Well, there's a god in it. Well, he's kind of a god.
I
You kill
mean,
him.
a lot of people in medieval Europe were naming people after Bible characters. So
Yeah.
I mean, they technically still do.
yeah, but a lot of them have sort of morphed to the point where it's like, yeah, if you go back enough generations, it's the same. It's the same from the same root word, but it doesn't quite look the same anymore.
Yeah, but some of them are. Yeah.
I mean, Malachi is so
And
cool.
also, some of them are so used that it's like if someone names their child John, most people are not going to assume they're named after like John the Baptist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's enough Johns. Well,
I mean, I'm gonna assume that from now.
I was about to say there's enough Johns that it's common enough that it's detached itself from its original meaning. That said, Mohammed is also a very popular name.
Yeah.
And I feel like in quite a lot of instances that has not detached itself from its original meaning.
I mean, I guess it's because like it's the main prophet of that religion.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus as a name has like
Yeah, he does.
a
Yeah.
rather religious connotation. no, very few people are going around. My name is Jesus. I've not been like Christian raised. My parents just really like the name.
Yeah. It's
Doesn't
Jesus.
happen a lot.
I mean, there is a Hispanic name that's usually pronounced Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
That's
Yeah.
spelled the same as Jesus.
Yeah, but
That's just saying
But
But
hello to
also,
a
the
Greek
only
god.
people I
Still-
know named that are like coming from families that are very Catholic. So
yeah, that's what I was about to say. That is like, it is the same. They are religious.
Hang on,
Spanish people are very Catholic.
Christy, did your pup lick the screen and spell I lick? Did that happen? I'm assuming you were.
I lick.
I assume you were spelling something else. Yep, cool. It was a clever pup. Very clever. Give pats. But yeah, one of the issues I have is that I'm really fond of a lot of Old Testament names. They've got a nice ring to them, so I end up using them, like Malachi and Ezekiel. Although that was a while ago, you probably didn't even know what that is. And I can at least give context to Malachi. It comes from a religious family, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's not just difficult to put those in because they're not really names that are used very often nowadays. I just like the
Yeah.
sound of them. They sound cool.
Yeah. I get that.
Trying to think of a funny name to pair Baronzaya with, but Pup did it for you. Yeah, I lick. I lick.
I lick.
Num num. Oh, that's one. I need to think of a name for my D&D character. So if anybody has a fun name for a Tudor nobleman,
Mm,
I mean, you could just pick an actual Tudor nobleman who exists and then just append a number onto the end of it.
possibly.
I mean, uh,
Okay, so
let's
so Percy Fortescue, pie and a half.
Barnaby.
Not what I meant, but that would be
Barnaby.
funny.
I like Barnaby. Barnaby's a fun name.
I googled Tudor names and I am now on a site that's called BritishBabyNames.com. And it is like generally a lot of like religious names. But
Barnaby.
Barnaby stood out to me as did Cuthbert.
Oh, Cuthbert. Yeah. So the issue I have with Barnaby is the name of is the name of a character I want to like, and my character I'm not gonna like at all.
Yeah.
So, but Cuthbert, that works. Barnaby Midsummer. Oh, no, hang on. Isn't that Barnaby? Hang on. Is it Inspector Barnaby? Yeah, DCI Tom Barnaby from Midsummer Murders. Yeah.
I also like
Christy,
the
I gotcha.
name
Gotcha.
Tristram.
Tristram? Yeah.
Just because it's like slightly off like from a name I'm used to. Because I'm used to
Oh, it's
like seeing
Tristan.
Tristan. Yeah.
No,
And this is Tristram.
I'm familiar with Tristram.
And then,
Isn't that the name of the main character in the original version of the Stardust book?
Tristram.
Because he's Tristan in the movie, but I want to say he had a slightly different name in the book, which is one of the few things that's only slightly different. There's a lot of things that are very different between the book and the movie.
I don't know nothing. Tristram Shandy is the name that pops into my head.
What about Botolf?
A Botolf?
Yes.
That is not one I'm familiar with. Botolf.
Botolf. Bottolph.
Oh,
Botolf.
PH. Okay.
Now, see, that almost sounds like a nickname you'd give someone to mock them.
Yeah, that's a character in a Charles Dickens book. Not yeah. That's one of like Fagin's little street urchins, Botolf.
Listen, sometimes names get weird.
You Botolf.
I'm going through a list now and I'm seeing evangelist just as a name.
Oh. Speaking
And,
of religious,
Gentile.
that sounds about right. Gentile. Well, there's words like felicity and stuff like that, which have
Mhm.
similar sort of.
Good luck as one word.
Good luck.
Good luck.
We want to wish fortune upon our child. What should we call them? Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Innocent. If you want to
Yeah.
go ironic.
Call my bastard noble innocent.
I think it would suit him.
Maybe a middle name. Name evangelist. Religion atheist.
Manassas?
Oh, Verity. Yeah, same thing. Molasses?
That's what I thought, but no, it's Manassas.
Manassas.
Manassas. I don't know, there's not a pronunciation guide for this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Melchizedek? Sadek? Melchizedek.
Milky sadist.
Melchizedek.
Manassas Mullet.
I'm like skipping over all the normal names like Paul. It's Rainborn. Interesting first name. Malage?
Malage?
Smallage?
Smallage. Smallage.
Smallage?
Is
Maybe?
smallage.
That's how you spell it.
Feels like smallage.
Smallage?
Smallage. Tips Fedora. Smallage.
Theophile?
Theophily.
Theophily? Theophile?
Theophile is
two.
any one of Bear's fans.
Cyrac. Cyrac. It's with a Y.
That's a name of a monster in 40k, right? The Cyrac.
Thorns.
Thorns?
The thorns.
Just thorns?
Just
Are these actually
thorns.
names? Is this
Yes.
an AI?
No. This is, I think it's an entire, hold on, let me go back to what it's called. It's a dictionary of Tudor London names.
Right.
And I think it's just listed like every person like with like year, like their name and like their year, basically. Let me go back to Thorns.
Yeah, this does feel like ChatGPT wrote this. But it didn't.
It's Thorns Cheap from 1582.
That's an advertisement. That's not a name.
Yeah, that's odd.
Thorns cheap. Roses expensive.
Thorns Cheap.
thorns are cheap, roses are expensive. I'll try and finish this poem, but I'm feeling apprehensive.
Oh, and Smallage was Smallage Queenhithe. Queenhithe? Queenhithe.
It's probably
Fif-
Quinth.
1541.
Probably pronounced Quinth.
Quinth. Probably.
In the same way that we visited Grinch.
Yeah, Grinch. So, did anyone... Hold on, I do like, this guy, who is Ruben, and his surname is Without. Without.
Is that like... You...
It's spelled the same as Without.
I'm just imagining, like, you know, there's an orphanage, you got a lot of children, you got to name them something, and at some point you just go, give them the surname Without. Like, that makes sense for an orphan, right?
There's
They're
also
without surname.
a Roger pronounced as Rogier. Or
Rogier.
No, not Rogier. It's
Oh.
Rogere.
Oh.
There's an E at the end. Rogier. So I'm assuming it's Rogier. Farringdon within.
Oh, there's a within and without.
Yeah.
They should team up.
I assume this
Names are so
Farringdon
weird.
thing, like, because I'm seeing like Ruben Farringdon without, then Rogier Farringdon within, and there's a Robert Farringdon without. So either they're siblings or there's something else going on. Anyway, did any of those names jump out to you?
A lot of them jumped out, but they jumped out the window.
So you're not gonna name your horrible little jester Bottles?
No, I quite like the idea of Cuthbert Innocence Without.
Cuthbert Innocence Without. That's a great, like, full name.
I'll be perfectly honest. I was literally just stringing them together because I liked Innocence as a middle name and I liked Without as a surname. It was only when I said it that I realized that Innocence Without is great.
Feels like a bad pun, but that's okay.
These are legitimate names.
Like, there's like a thing for, it's Lancelot, as in the knight, and there's one that's like written down or pronounced. I don't know if it's like pronunciation, but it just says that.
Lawn clot. Have you been injecting grass? What's else happening? Lawn clot. It probably is pronounced Lancelot, but...
Oh, wait. I'm now thinking it's maybe street names instead of surnames. The Farringdon Without and stuff.
Oh, yeah, Without.
Yeah.
There's a town near me called something Without. I was about to say the actual name and then I realised, oh, hang on, I'm speaking on the internet.
But, yeah. I mean, it still makes sense because most place names get used as a surname at one point in time, so... Cuthbert Innocence Without.
Cuthbert Innocence Without. That's the name. We found it. Thank you.
We found it.
Thank you very much. My
We've
horrible Tudor jester man. Cuthbert Innocence
horrible
Without.
Tudor jester man.
I mean, I'd be more surprised, but I don't think you're capable of making a serious tabletop game character.
I mean, what's the point of a serious tabletop game character?
Dare
so that you can descend into madness and unseriousness. It's like there was a post floating around a while ago with the top image is from the Lord of the Rings movies, showing the Fellowship of the Ring, and the title is "How D&D Campaigns Start." And then underneath it, it's got the Monty Python Flying Circus Holy Quest for the Holy Grail cast, and the tag is "How D&D Campaigns End."
Yeah.
Mm,
I mean, I am starting off as a hell jester. We don't quite. Cheap's character is literally on fire inside and
yeah,
out.
we've established that our party is like impossible, like for stealth, just for the matter alone that my character is like a beacon.
And my
And
character is
Chris's
covered in
character is
bells.
full of bells.
Oh, full of bells. Oh, I don't like that.
That like jingles so much it causes people madness.
Yes.
I guess.
Literally, yeah. Literally a mechanic of so many bells that madness happens.
So basically,
yeah.
you have negative in sneak.
Yes, pretty much. Annoyingly, I think I took sneak as one of my talents. So,
I mean, listen,
bit
what's
of a
your
silly
skill in
choice, really.
life? Nobody said was going to be your skill in death.
Yeah, I tried to roleplay. I tried to work out what would make sense for the character.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I started coming up with a design for them, and then I realized, God, this is going to be a pain to make, because Tudor clothing is not plain.
No. But, yeah. True. I mean, also you're gonna have to cover him in bells, so, you know.
Yeah, that's not the end of the world. They just make a bell brush. I draw a few bells, make it into a brush, and then just dot them around. Be fine.
Yeah, that's
Last
fair.
boss is a little white bunny. Maybe.
Oh, they switched hats.
Hey.
Cute.
Oh.
I'm not entirely sure of whether Vivi can take off his hat, because I'm not entirely sure what Vivi is.
Vivi is a baby.
Vivi's baby. We know this.
Master baby Vivi.
Master baby Vivi. But they deserve to have some fun.
True.
You were going to join for the last 45 minutes, by the way, but the sea got you so tired. That's fine. It's nice to chat.
Mm.
Don't have to doodle with us. And the sea is a
Mm.
thing that requires energy to maneuver in and around.
Yeah. True.
Snoot angles are cute. Yeah, I don't know quite how the mouth works. Is there a mouth there?
Probably.
There you go, Freya, you're happy. Although the nostrils now look like eyes. There's just a little worm character coming out of there. Ignore that.
Also cute.
This is the Tory issue. If you have a big, long cartoon snout, where does the mouth go, and how exactly does it work physically? In Tory's case, horrifically.
Yeah. Tori is a horror wrapped in a cute little guy.
Tory's a whore?
I mean,
Horror.
you put the mouth wherever is funniest for that moment.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't know if he's a whore. That's
mean-
on you. That's for you to decide.
I mean, I wouldn't call him a whore. I mean, he's one of the least sexless characters I have.
So therefore, he's a whore.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Malachi goes higher on that list than Tori does, but Tori's second. Right?
I love that. The scale for character is just like of like sexless to not sexless. It's just like everyone is over in not sexless. Then there's Tori, and then there's Mel.
Yeah, pretty much.
What?
I think that's right.
Also, just the implication that Tori is anything like Mel.
No, they're
It's very
different. They're Mal is Mal, Tori is Himbo. Like we know there's a spectrum here.
Yeah, true. That's definitely true. Sorry, what did I miss?
They're not promiscuous in the same way.
We will. I asked Chris where Tori is on the horse scale.
And now I'm imagining did Mal flirting with Tori to make him flustered. This is
Oh.
I mean, what's the point of having OCs if not to put them into situations?
Yeah. Put them into situation.
But yeah, it's one of those things, like you say with Jupiter. It's like if you've had a character in your head for so long and you just haven't thought about an aspect of them in that time,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to fit anything to it. And being asexual and having a lot of characters, I don't think about that side of things very often. So most of my characters are just nothing.
Mm.
I need a himbo.
I mean, generally, I think most of my characters are like bisexual by default.
And mine are ace by default, so we balance each other out. Nah, mine aren't ace by default, but I've come to the conclusion, because the outliers being so firmly rooted in my head, but having never really thought about their sexuality, I've sort of come to the conclusion that I don't think any of them even know their own sexuality for different reasons. Mal doesn't know because he doesn't care. He's attracted to whoever he's attracted to at that particular moment. M also doesn't think about it because M doesn't really analyze anything.
No.
Rufus analyzes way too much to the point that he can't tell the difference between sexual attraction, romantic attraction, or just social awkwardness.
Mood. I'm with Rufus on this one.
Yeah. The Rufus just can't tell.
And stoic is stoic.
And stoic is stoic. As with all lists where I define traits of the outliers, it always ends with "and stoic is stoic."
It just makes, like, why would you think about something unless someone were to specifically ask him to?
Yeah, exactly. No one's brought it up, so...
Like, unless someone is gonna walk up to him, like, hey, how do you define yourself? You have 5 seconds to answer. He's not gonna, like, give an answer.
I mean, if you gave him only 5 seconds, he might just decide it's not worth it to answer.
Yeah. What is the impetus to adhere to that 5-second rule, you know? This is the Stoic's way of thinking. But yeah, who knows with Stoic?
I mean, also I think this difference in characters comes very much from our different, like, art and character making backgrounds.
True, yes.
I very much come from, like, fan fiction kind of things.
Like, I'm
Which
only...
isn't inherently sexual, but it is, like,
It's
it
funny.
is a thing. I'm not gonna deny it.
You started by saying, "Oh yeah, I come from fan fiction things," and my brain was going, "Oh yeah, you started with pinups." Because they were like the first
I didn't start with those.
proper bits of like character art I remember of your stuff was pinups.
Wow, okay.
So
I see.
you're good at pinups.
I mean, yeah, I do.
I mean,
like making them.
and not only that, you have somehow managed to convince me to do a pin-up album of Mal, as it's turning out. Wasn't the original idea, but it's just turning out that way.
Yeah, and then you convinced me in return to make a calendar for Atlas, and, I just fallen off with that.
Well, it wasn't sexy enough, so you lost interest.
Yeah, always next year. Next year also has the same months, so whatever.
Does it?
I assume so.
Oh.
I assume there's gonna be 12 months again next year. Then we are not just gonna change calendar all of a sudden.
Oh yeah,
Big assumption to make, I know.
I never noticed that. They're the same month.
I mean, I think it might be nice to mix up the months a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
I
Let's
reckon.
start with July next year.
I feel like we could do the thing, the playing card thing, right? Because it's like 52 weeks in the year with 1 or 2 days left over. So it's like a deck of cards, 52 cards, 1 or 2 jokers. And we should just divide it up into like, okay, we have the 4 seasons, which are the hearts, diamonds, clubs, spades. And then we just have every day has a card associated to it. So you can sort of divide it up monthly wise like that. Oh, well, instead of doing the seasons, you could just go, okay, we are now in month ace. No, not in month ace. How would you do it? Because you want... That was weeks, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you'd have the weeks of the... Yeah, so you'd have month ace. Week 1 would be the ace of hearts. Week 2 would be the ace of clubs. Week 3, the ace of diamonds. Week 4, the ace of spades.
Oh, and then go by...
And then that's that month. That's ace month. Then 2 month. Then 3 month. So on and so forth, all the way up to king month. And then you just have a couple of joker days left over.
Just some joker days.
Just some joker days.
Just
They
for
don't count.
funsies.
That's when all crime is legal.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the purge time. You can do what you want. We don't have a numbering system for this, so we can't record crimes that happen there. Didn't realise you were asexual until you was tagged on a thing on Tumblr years ago, and one of the questions asked what your sexuality was, and you sat there for a moment going, wait a second. I, like a lot of asexuals, I had my classic thing of talking about it in school and going, well, I feel the same about boys as girls, so I guess I'm bi? And then taking a very long time to realise that the way I felt was nothing.
I mean, for me, it's very much, like, honestly, like, I've arrived at a point where I'm just like, cool, I'm queer, because I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
You know what the funny thing is, Chris? That was sort of the argument for including ace individuals underneath the bi umbrella for a while.
Yeah, it's equally balanced, right? Just equally balanced with like, 0 is a number, right?
It's also like, for most of the LGBT spectrum, I've been introduced to by the internet. Like, I knew some things like, lesbians and gays. That I knew. But the rest, didn't know that was a thing. And then for a while, I was just like, for a large while, I was just like, well, I've never thought about it before. So I assume it's fine, even though it now keeps me up at night. Even though I'm now thinking about this for hours. I'm sure I'm like, normal people think about this the exact same amount of time. Like, that phase happened for a couple of years of just like, yes, everyone is this, like, everyone is going through this of like just thinking about this. And that's why I'm still straight. It's just like, I'm straight and cis because everyone thinks about this amount of time in their lives. This is fine.
I'm experiencing it and I'm normal, so this must be normal.
Yeah.
Weird
it's
circular
like,
logic.
also, like, the thought of, like, well, if it was different, then I would know, you know? Like, I would
Oh yeah,
feel that. I would know. I wouldn't be thinking about it because I just know. And then I, went through a couple of, like, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. Like, but now I'm just like, whatever, I'm queer. Whatever, you know?
That's
I
the
don't really want to label myself.
sexuality.
I
Is
I
one
still
of
want to
think
those.
be a weird
my
bloodless entity.
favorite post I've seen dealing with gender identity and pronoun stuff was like, the pronouns I use for myself are me and I. Anything else is your problem.
Yeah, that's basically the vibe. It's either that or the Tumblr post that's like, my gender is bastard and my pronouns are redacted.
The internet's fun sometimes. Yeah, this is the thing with like sexuality is that there's like I hate using the word society. The internet has ruined me using the word society. We live in a society.
We live in a society.
But our society tends to value as the most important part of sexuality gender, which is really just a component, and the rest of it gets just chucked under type, you know? But it's all part of what are you attracted to, what are you not attracted to. There's a lot of facets about a human being, and it feels a little reductivist to just split it very neatly along those lines, because it's defined exclusionarily, but people use it non-exclusionarily, because it's like, oh, I'm a guy, I'm straight, therefore I'm attracted to women. That's not what you mean, though, is it? What you mean is you're not attracted to men and you're attracted to some women.
Mm-hmm.
You still haven't actually narrowed it down to the group of people you're actually attracted to. You've just eliminated one other group of people. You know, it's always more complicated than just a simple thing, and that's why I like the word queer, because it's like, I don't know yet, but and maybe there is no simple way of describing it, so we've just got this and I'll go by my feelings, you know? I like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
my stance with that stuff is it's like with a lot of philosophy things. If people want to get into the nitty-gritty and come up with like micro labels to help try and define their identity or help define other people in their group's identity to like find a word to describe things, fine. But if you try to enforce a particular definition onto another group of people where it's like, okay, yeah, it's like if you were ever been attracted, if you were a woman and you have ever been attracted to men, you can't use the label lesbian. It's like, okay, well, first off, that's ahistorical. Two, who voted you president of the lesbians?
That is a prestigious title.
Didn't vote for you.
Is that the name of the VOD?
I just think we should make that a new retort to if you get into an argument with people online, just go, the lesbians didn't vote for you.
But yeah, as with many things, like analyzing things are fine. Poking around at things is fine. Don't be an asshole about it.
Yeah, these things, it's much like a dictionary, you know, it's like, these are field notes, these are not strict definitions that you must adhere to under every circumstance and thus correct other people who are using it wrong. No, these are just explanations to try and help us understand a very complicated concept.
Mm-hmm.
You're attracted to heroic men with a tragic backstory in books and stuff, and the actors playing them, that's your sexuality. Say that's a specific thing, you know? And video game characters.
I feel that. Like, I will seriously thirst over, fictional characters, and then I'll go around and say I'm asexual sometimes. And that's fine. I can do that. Who's gonna stop me? God? I've already challenged him to a fight in the Denny's parking lot today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that appearing in the New Testament.
The New Testament, where God fights a regular person in the Denny's parking lot.
And that's all that happens. There is no consequence to this.
No,
it doesn't lead to the
it just
apocalypse or anything. It's just an event.
God gets curb stomped, and that's the end of New Testament. It's
So you're
God's plan, you know?
So you're looking at an FF16 character, literally everyone online's thirsting after. Yeah, I recall you saying you wanted to draw them.
Yeah.
Who is this?
No, we'll see how long FF16's keeps the thread of the plot. Will it manage to get through the third act intact or not?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
Sidolphus?
history has said probably no.
That's one of the randomly generated names. Hang on, is that a Sid? Is that a new Sid?
Based on my knowledge of
Sidolphus, what?
Stadolfus. I have many pictures of different people when I look up their names, so that doesn't help. It is the new Sid. Okay. I mean, there's this one. This
Sidolphus Telemon. Is that his actual name?
Stadolfus Telemann. I've seen a piece of artwork and I'm like, yeah, okay, I see what people are talking about. I get it.
Yeah,
I can recognize things that would make people on the internet go, eh. Although
his
I am looking at the
occupation is dominant of Rama.
his occupation is dominant. Of course, people are thirsting over him. Bloody hell.
His occupation is he's a dom. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
You see where this is going.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would like that to be his occupation.
Okay, so I
Oh
briefly
yeah,
showed it.
I can see.
I briefly showed it on
That's definitely
screen.
a face that you'd go for if you're into the like roguish older man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show it on screen, so spoilers for Final Fantasy 16. Apologies, I showed it briefly before. I forgot spoilers, but there's spoilers. There's the artwork, and I want to show this because I'm looking at this. I'm sure people are looking at this in a different way to me, but I'm looking at it and going, "Oh, I love the painting on this."
It's a really
Look
good
at it.
paint.
It's got like that back leg sort of fading away, and there's
Yeah,
textures.
it's really cool.
Is that David? That is David Beckham. Oh my god, it's David Beckham. Fantasy
So
David
many
Beckham.
fucking dominants in this game.
Oh, that is a nice painting style.
It is.
Also,
Look at
when
that.
I looked up Sidolphus, there's
Yeah,
like
save this.
Sidolphus Telemon is the first one, but then there's Sidolphus Orlando, who is like Little Red Riding Hood, but an old man.
What? Yeah. There were multiple that cropped up. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I'm gonna stick with Red Riding Hood, but old man. Sidolphus Orlando.
Save
But
that for a reference.
That one has a really cool. The one I'm looking at is really cool, like line art hatching stuff going on.
The concept art stuff for Final Fantasies has gotten really good recently. It's reminiscent of the sort of thing they were doing for Octopath Traveler, was it?
It's funny you should say that because I'm pretty sure a good chunk of the Octopath Traveler team are people who worked on Final Fantasy stuff
Yeah.
and then just sort of peeled off and decided to make their own games with more a little more traditional.
There he is.
They decided where Final Fantasy is going. Oh, we're
Ooh.
going all 3D stuff. They decided, right, we're just going to do more traditional stuff.
Good, Kiro. Have you posted this anywhere?
A
Did I
much
miss
more
this?
traditional 2D spritey thing. And I haven't played any of the Octopath Traveler games, but I have heard very good things about them from people who enjoy playing like turn-based RPG type things. Now, as with anything, I'm sure it's not everyone's cup of tea. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be.
Your favorite Sid? Oh, who would my favorite Sid be?
What about Sid?
Sid, yeah. So, sorry, we should translate for the draw through crowd. Fly Jesse.
Yeah. What about
Who's-
Fly Jess?
Who's our favorite fly? I think the one from Final Fantasy
I
IV.
know two flies. I know the pilot fly, which is why we call him Fly Jesse.
Yep.
an old man fly who is like the director of the school or something like that
Yep, he's headmaster.
of the
Well, until bloody Simon became headmaster, because plot.
oh, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Why? I think I
Um,
screamed about it at the time, but why?
reasonable.
Yeah,
Reasonable.
that plot point didn't make a whole lot of sense to me in general, but you
No.
know.
I get it, like, thematically, it's like, okay, you need to start taking control of your life, right? But the irony
Like,
of
it would
that
have
is
made
that the very last thing that happens in the game is that the main character screws up so badly the universe is in danger and someone else has to come up with a plan. So, hooray for theming.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII sure was a thing, you
It was
know?
a thing, yeah. We're going to meet
Oh.
Final Fantasy IX fly soon. That's going to be interesting.
Also, fucking no getting killed off screen by
Oh, yeah.
Clark.
That was the funniest thing, reading that in a wiki. Absurd.
Like, you could have, like, just not made that decision and no one would have known, you know? You could have just decided to, you know, she's gone off on tour and she lived the rest of her life, and that's fine. But no, she had to die off screen in a car crash.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think my favorite Cid is from one of the Crystal Chronicles games. And I say this half serious, half joking, because the Cid in that game is a Moogle.
Ooh, nice. What?
Also, whenever
I think he's literally just called Mog Cid, as in a Moogle Cid.
Oh, sorry, I got very confused. I just typed in Final Fantasy IV Cid, but I typed it in Roman numerals, and Google went, "Did you mean 14?" And I was like, "That's not the one I'm after. What? Who's this? He doesn't look absolutely insane."
who's this? Who is
But as far as like Cid in story, I think my two favorite, like I said, Mog Cid is sort of my favorite conceptually because it's just really funny for one of the Moogles to be the Cid.
That's good.
But story-wise, probably either the Cid from Tactics Advance or probably 12 for entirely opposite reasons. Because Tactics Advance Cid is a dad of one of the main characters and is trying but keeps screwing up, and sort of has to face that. And then Final Fantasy XII Cid is a bad dad and just does not care. And in fact, him being a terrible father and a terrible human being is part of the reason why a good third of our party is out doing things.
Okay. Briefly try and draw what I think is my favourite Cid. I'm not hugely attached to any of them, but Final Fantasy IV Cid is quite something. I just love the fact that there is no real sort of adherence to any kind of character for who Cid is in any of these games. It's usually an engineer, but that's about as far as it goes.
It is one of the confusing things when you guys explain Final Fantasy. Is just like, yeah, there's this character. He's the same. He's also just a completely different character in every game.
Yeah.
Like, one
Yeah, it's not
consistent
even like
character
with
across games is the character that's just the same by name. That's all.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. I mean,
There's
it's
gotta be
not
a
even
Cid.
like with Legend of Zelda with Beetle, where it's like, okay, this is the same design for the most part. No, these are all very separate characters. Where yes, the main flow through is that most of them are either engineers or at least associated with airship type things. The main exception being the Cid in Tactics Advance, who starts the game as just a dad, and as part of plot stuff, he becomes judge master. So he's high-ranking official type thing, and I don't think he has any connections to engineering.
Yeah, that makes sense. In 9, you've
But
got
he's
something.
the only
well,
Sid I
yeah,
can
9,
think of
whatever.
who's not associated with some sort of like engineering type science. Even if some of the Sids, their engineering science stuff is more on the magic sciencey type. So like in 12, the Sid in 12 is less engineering, what we think of engineering, and more like magitech type things. But even then, it's a similar idea.
Oh, wait, who's
Who's?
what with the who and the, oh yeah, that guy. Sorry, I completely forgot who Sid was in 6. Probably because he's not really in it. He also has the weirdest outfit.
Hmm. What?
Do you see Banana Man?
It's like a banana raincoat over a weird black and white clown costume with open-toed shoes.
Yeah, this is a Yoshitaka Amano picture if I ever saw one.
Like, what is going on?
Excellent question. Next question.
What's going on is always my question when it comes to Final Fantasy. I'm just like waiting for the moment in Final Fantasy IX when I'm gonna go, hey, what?
You're probably gonna have to wait a while, but there's definitely gonna be one. Don't
Like,
worry
I'm
about
waiting
that.
for another like monster moon thing.
Good.
All the
We'll get to
monsters
that.
live on the moon.
We'll get to that.
Fucking cool,
The-
great.
In
I will
my
never get
opinion,
over
Final
that.
Fantasy IX, and to a certain extent also 10, are the ones that sort of keep the plot thread the longest.
Yeah.
In a sense that it's like, oh, it's building off of the same ideas and themes. Now, there's some stuff with like your various party members where it's like, well, it would have been nice to do more with this, and their stuff gets sort of dropped off, like with Freya.
Yeah.
But that's like sort of excusable. And then you get to the last disc.
Mhm.
And then stuff happens.
And I'll let you see what happens with the last disc.
I cannot wait.
There is a point in the game where I will announce that if you want to consider the game over here, you are welcome to. The storyline is nice and wrapped up and everything's good.
Cool, I will. Already.
That is not the end of the game.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sort of the opinion that the last disc should have just been scrapped, and the ending of the previous disc should have just have been edited a little bit to just like remove any of the implications of, oh, there's more story in the last disc.
Yeah. I see
Like
what they were
anything from the
going
previous
for.
disc leading into the last disc should have just been removed.
Anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah. I'm waiting for it
Now,
to go off the rails.
You,
It'll
the
happen.
audience, might reach a point of, oh god, this is too silly and ridiculous well before then. But I expect everyone to reach that point by then, because
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, like, for Final Fantasy VIII, I did reach the point of what the fuck is going on before the Monster Moon stuff, but, you know,
That's the
that
icing on the
really
cake.
just solidified it as this game doesn't know what's going on.
It's true.
Between, like, the Monster Moon and the Orphanage of Plot Convenience and no dying in a car crash off screen, I don't think this game knows anything.
The car crash.
The fucking multiple sorceresses.
So
who
services.
I still something about time travel. Who knows? I cannot remember. It didn't matter.
It's yeah, pretty much like this Dr. Wario sailor. This is the Sid from Final Fantasy IV. He's a fun time.
He's got a fun design too.
It does look a little bit like a WarioWare character.
Yeah, that's got the kind of vibe. I'm working on the internal mental image, although apparently there is concept art. It looks good. Well, it's got a big Santa beard, apparently. He's also wearing like a wrestler's jumpsuit. What's going on there? Just noticed that.
I like it.
It's fun.
It's cute.
And he will hit you with a spanner.
Wonderful.
Actually, I think that's his weapon in the game, isn't it? He uses wrenches.
I mean, as every old Kroger crony who just works with mechanics should.
Yeah.
Like if you've got some old fogey and they work with machines, they're gonna hit you with a wrench.
Good for them. Anyway, I'm glad to know that Sid's still going strong and apparently Dom.
Apparently, he makes his
he's
money as a
professional
dom now.
He's a professional Dom. What a world we live in. He's come a long way since Banana Man. I want to see the people thirsting over him.
I mean, there probably are.
Probably. There's always someone somewhere.
I mean,
and I wish them the best.
At least with the Final Fantasy 16 one, I can completely understand that. And heck, with a lot of the other Final Fantasy SIDs, I can completely understand that. But just now, granted, like you said, this is a concept art, Toshio Akamano, or I just butchered that name. Anyway, looking at this concept art, I if anyone is thirsting after him, I don't get it.
I had to mention this. The title of Dominant is a huge thing in this game. Everyone is a dominant, and it is killing me every single time they mention it. I am not joking. It is. There are no submissives. No submissives.
Oops, too many doms. See, that's the problem.
So many doms.
You can't all be doms.
I am dying every time they bring it's completely serious. They are completely serious every time they mention it, and the person who is a quote unquote dominant is like a super serious thing, and everybody wants one.
I mean,
I am suffering. I am suffering so much.
I would lose my mind more, but my God, I think it was last year I was looking over some stuff on particle physics, and it's like, oh, I mean, these names make sense, but also that's unfortunate.
Classic.
So if you know anything about particle physics, which I don't expect most of you to know, you've got protons, electrons, and neutrons, but you can break those down into smaller particles, which are called quarks. Actually, let me see if I can find the list. So quarks come in 6 types, I think. And whoever named them, I don't know why they picked these names, but that's the ones we have to deal with. So you've got quarks that are named things like top, bottom, strange,
charm,
cute, like charm. That's the name of one of them. Not cute, but yeah, it's charm.
That's cute now.
Yeah. Now we'll just call them cute. But yeah, the charm. There's 2 others, and I don't remember what they're
top,
called.
bottom.
I think they're
named something charm strange. What's the other? Oh, I can't remember what the other 2 are either.
Is it up and down? Because I seem to remember ones where it's just kind of like that just feels like the same name twice.
Is it top, bottom, up, and down?
Anyway.
That doesn't make sense. That's very nice. And then just charm and strange, because why not? Do.
Also,
It is,
yes,
yes.
it is a
It's
charm.
up,
Yeah,
Yes.
so-
up, down, top, bottom. They're different. Charm and strange.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Then I was right. There are two pairs where I looked at the names and went, why this just feels like the same name, same sort of names twice. But with particle physics, you've got these things called byrons,
Lord,
which are particles with an odd number of quarks. Your protons, electrons, and neutrons typically have an even number of quarks. And there is a subfamily of byrons. Most of the subfamily of byrons are named using Greek letters because science. This particular subfamily is called the omega subfamily group. And because of the names of quarks, you get things like charmed omega, bottom omega, double charmed omega, charmed bottom omega, double bottom omega, and so on. And it's like, okay, structurally this makes sense. These are omega byrons, hence the omega at the name.
I
And the
understand.
first part of it is just describing what type of quarks it's made out of. So a triple charmed omega is a omega byron made out of 3 charm quarks. But also, I'm very glad I don't have to teach this
Mm-hmm.
because I would probably die.
Yeah.
What could possibly be misconstrued about a charmed bottom omega?
A lot.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
So much could be misconstrued about that.
Just be glad there's
Hmm.
nobody in Final Fantasy called that. Yet. Oh, that's just what they call summoner.
Yeah, they
Uh,
can summon or channel the or channel God basically.
What's wrong with summoner?
Why couldn't they just call
Yeah.
them summoners?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's my thing. Because that's what they are. The dominants are all people that they can summon like that boy specifically. He can summon Phoenix.
What?
And yeah, I know. It is a huge integral part of the story and world, and just it is like a vital part. Like the summoners are a vital part of their world in like so many ways, and they keep calling them dominants.
There's so
And I'm-
many different names
I
could have
know.
called those.
I know. It's one of the things I do not like about it. Like
I wouldn't-
I am enjoying the game. I love the game a lot so far. I'm really liking it. But there are
You
some
know,
things that
though,
I do not like. Yes,
that the
I
fanfic
know.
writing
I
section of
know.
fandom is going to just take
They
that
love
and
it.
run with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I am I would be incredibly surprised if they have not already. I fully expect them to. And yeah, spoilers, I guess, but you already looked them up. Yes, it is a summoner for Rama. Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
But, yeah.
The thing I don't understand is I'm thinking back to the previous Final Fantasy games, and in those games there are so many different names for summons.
Yeah.
So
I know, like
there's
Adon,
Aeons,
they-
Eidolons, Summons, GF. They're always called
I-
something different in any given game. But
I think in
the
this
people who
game, they're
summon them,
called Icon
Icon.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
or Acon. Yeah.
After Ico from spoilers.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. EIKON. Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who summon them are always called summoners.
Yes. Yes. It is always.
This game just decided nope.
Nope.
Fanfic is a
nope, they're all
popular
dominants.
enterprise. Let's call
Yep,
them dominant.
We can cash this
Someone
in.
chose violence.
They did. They really did. They
Like,
did. Yes.
someone along the line looked at that, knew exactly what would happen, and chose violence.
Yep.
Someone chose
they
dominance.
really did.
And I blame Tetsuya Nomura. It started with the belts.
Yeah.
Now here we are. We should have learned our lesson from
But
Lulu.
yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I just
Nope, no
No.
sorries.
I had to pop in while you guys were joking about him being a dominant and all that. I had to say like this how fucking big that thing is in this game, and I am
Oh.
suffering so much every time.
It's hilarious, but also I hate
It's
it.
really funny, but also same. I do hate it. Also, if it helps, there is a like specifically for that child part, there is a bit of a time skip, and that's like 13 years before the main part of the story. That's like
Mm.
prologue era. So
Well-
he's like in his 20s now, I think, something like that.
But
But yeah,
you say that this is coming from a game franchise
I
that has the
know.
Lalafell in it. So.
I know. Yeah. Also, I'm saying that with a caveat in my head that like this story wise and character wise and all that, like political intrigue and all that, this is very Games of Thronesy, and I am
Mm.
scared. I'll
Let's
just say it.
hope it doesn't
I'm
end
scared.
like Game of Thrones end with a giant
Yeah.
fart sound.
Yeah, hopefully,
That
yeah.
was a really weird direction they took that last episode. It was just like 30 minutes of fart sounds.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm scared, but I'll keep playing it. I am enjoying the game.
Well, let us know if the plot
despite the
survives
stuff
through
like
the
that.
third act or if it devolves into nonsense.
It's Final Fantasy. We
I
expect
will-
it's going to
I'll
devolve into
try.
nonsense.
I'll try. Yeah. Yeah.
That's standard.
Yeah. Also, it's like weirdly fun to play as well, like battle wise, because like it's action RPG, and I didn't really think that I would enjoy the battle system that much, because in past Final Fantasies that had action RPG, I didn't really like the battle that much. I preferred the turn-based battles more. And there's actually difficulty that you can play that's story-based, where like they'll give you they don't really change the battle's difficulty. They just give you some like, accessories that make battles easier to do. And I did that initially because I wasn't sure what to expect, and like given past Final Fantasies that were action based, I was like, it kind of hit or miss. I didn't really like it that much. I'll do a story focused thing, and then I actually experienced the battle system, and I learned what the accessories help you with and all that, and I immediately unequipped them and went back to the harder difficulty, because I actually really like it's reminding me of some of the Yes games, and I really like those games. So I'm enjoying
Nice.
the battle system. Yeah,
I do like
I don't know. It's weird.
going. Very strangely, the combat in a Final Fantasy game is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's I don't know. There's a mechanic in the game where you can like dodge attacks, like, and there's like a perfect dodge that you can do, and then you can counter attack while doing it. And I when playing the Yes games, they have flash dodge and flash guard and all that, and I always found myself really good at the flash dodge moves and the flash guard moves, and I am kind of channeling that, and I'm actually having like really fun dodging so many attacks back to back and just countering. And
Nice.
I don't know, I'm shrugging at the moment, but it's fun. So yeah, I got no complaints there. And the music is
Well,
great,
I'm-
and the
I'm
graphics and everything
Glad
are
they
great.
managed to make
Yeah.
something that works, because
Yeah.
a lot of the time when it's like, oh, we're doing a new battle system type, sometimes it doesn't work out well the first time around.
Yeah, there have been a few hiccups where like I'm still learning controls and trying to remember what buttons does what, and I do make some mistakes at times, but for the most part I'm enjoying it. So that's something at least. Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
No, that's cool.
I had to get that off my chest, because the only
enjoy
other
things.
person I am enjoying things. Well,
You're enjoying your dominance. We understand.
Also, the only person in my physical life who's also I know is playing this game and enjoying and all that is my brother, and I don't want to talk about dominance with him.
That's fair.
Very understandable, honestly.
I'll be playing the game and he'll be sitting next to me, or he'll be playing the game and I'll be sitting next to him, and every time a character brings up a dominant, I'm just like, don't look at him, don't look at him, do not bring attention to it, do not bring attention to it, don't bring attention to it, don't bring in my head, that's the whole thing I'm thinking. God. Oh, it is suffering, honestly.
You can do it, I believe.
Thanks. Oh, God. Anyway, I really like all the doodles that you've done. And I asked earlier, I think I got lost in chat, but is that Jupiter Chibi? They look really good. They look great. I love
Yeah.
the design. Yeah. I
I'm
love it. I love
trying
him.
stuff with Jupiter.
Yeah.
Very cool. They look awesome. Or he looks awesome.
He,
He looks awesome. I love him.
Yee.
after a little bit of
Yeah.
talk with Toe, I decided he's a he/him non-binary who doesn't know yet he's non-binary.
Hell
He's
yeah, I
about
love
to
that
find
for him.
out he's non-binary in hell.
Excellent. What
Self-discovery through damnation.
is there a better time for self-discovery? Honestly,
I
love that for him/them.
It's kind of the whole point of it, really, isn't it? Self-discovery. Sort of. It's supposed to be
exactly.
about sins, but you know,
Might also just
That
be
is-
because he's stupid.
that too. Yeah.
that also falls under self-discovery, the sins and all that. It's why not? Why not? And I love all the deer and the Freyas and Vivi and Sid. They're so good. And I saw you doing the Vivi and the Steiner hat, and so many good drawings, so many good friends.
I think Vivi deserves all the hats.
Yes,
All
he
hats.
does. He does.
I was trying to think of
deserves
more hats.
all the hats. Yeah.
Couldn't think of any from the game. Although there's a character later in the game who we recruit who has significant hair, and I was going to draw that, but I couldn't work out how to do it.
Yeah, they have a lot of hair.
I don't know how I'm going to draw that.
Don't really any hat though. Yeah.
There might be a hat in there. We don't know.
Yeah, it could be. It could be hidden in there.
Oh, Queen has got a hat. I could have done that. Whatever.
Yeah, I was about to say, does Queen have a hat? I can't remember. I think they do.
Yeah, it's got a sort of that sort of thing. You know, it's got bits coming down the sides.
That's a jellyfish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'm drawing a jellyfish. Someone put a jellyfish on Vivi's head.
Yes, they did. Ah, it's cute. It's a nightcap.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
bonnet.
Little fluffy nightcap.
Yeah, it's going to bed.
Yeah, cute.
Shower cap is good too. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Christy. Glad you got to bed. Hope you're nice and comfy now.
Yeah, bed. Speaking of bed.
If you think about it, shower caps and nightcaps are sort of serving the same purpose. It's just
True. Yeah.
Covering your head.
Yeah, protecting your hair. Or
Sorry, that was unnecessarily
Yeah.
facetious.
yeah, protecting your hair from the elements. It's just that for one of them, the element is specifically water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to stop.
Yeah.
So many good.
Speaking
doodles.
of nightcaps and bed and all that.
Good idea.
Hey, yeah, bed. Sleep.
Bed, please.
Jeeb is gone. Jeeb is ready for beddy buys.
Yeah.
Time to put the Jeeb to bed.
Time for Jeeb to go to the great hootenanny in the dream clouds. What? Sometimes words form in my head, but they don't actually have cohesive meaning. Yeah, thanks for doing as you said and practicing. Yeah. Thank you for suggesting. I'll be back on Tuesday with onion rings and doodles. Hopefully it'll be cooler by then. It's supposed to cool down a bit.
Yeah.
And then I'll be... No, I won't be drawing this character that I've been practicing today. On Wednesday. But couple of Wednesdays' time we'll meet them. Yeah. And so on and so
You
forth.
have forgotten all your practices.
I completely... No, I will remember gnome. That is the bit I will remember. I will not remember the context for it.
Good.
Yeah. So have a grand one, everybody. Yeah, in bed.
Have a good night, good day, good week, etc.
Good bed, everybody.
Bye.
Enjoy your
Goodbye.
dominance and have a good bed. Bye.